Welcome to Math with Mrs. Seeley. This is an ACT prep video on solving right triangles. We will be using the sine, cosine, and tangent ratios to do this. If you need more instruction on sine, cosine, and tangent ratios, then there is another video on my channel on these trig ratios or using SOH-CAH-TOA that you could watch first. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel if you find this video helpful. Let's begin building your ACT score one problem at a time. Before we begin with these, and most of these are word problems you'll see, let's just real quickly review the SOH-CAH-TOA or sine, cosine, and tangent ratios. Right here, the S stands for sine, and the O and the H is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The C is for cosine, and the AH is for the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, and the T for tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So you have your opposite side over your adjacent side. Okay, let's look at 26. In the figure below, a ladder 15 feet long forms an angle of 56 degrees with the level ground as it leans against the vertical side of a building. The distance along the building is equal to which of the following expressions? They want this distance along the building. They want x. The first thing I would suggest to do is let's go ahead and let's write out SOH-CAH-TOA when we know it's this type of problem. Let's identify the sides that we have. We know in reference to this angle, this is the opposite. Think like you're going to the opposite side of the street, the opposite side of the table, and this is your hypotenuse. This is your hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. So if I have the opposite and the hypotenuse, I'm looking at sine. Well, look at your answer choices. Only one of the answer choices has sine in it, so we know that's our answer. Look at number 20. The triangle below has these side lengths. So which of the following is an expression? Okay, here's my angle, 35 degrees. Let's look at the sides that we have, and we'll come over here and write out SOH-CAH-TOA so that we can visually see the ratio words. I've got the opposite because I'm going clear to the opposite side, and this is the adjacent. It's who you're sitting next to. Recall, this right angle would imply that this was the hypotenuse, but I don't have that value. I have opposite and adjacent. So I have TOA, or I have tangent. Look at your answer choices. Only one of them is tangent, so I know that must be my answer. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Number 41. During a competition, a swimmer will be swimming the width of the river from X to Y in the figure below, right here. The swimmer wants to know how wide the river is. The right triangle shows the measurements the swimmer obtained by walking 100 feet, and you can see that's labeled. And then by sight, determine this measure is 40 degrees. How wide is the river? So I want where the question mark is, that right there. Okay, so let's come over here and let's write out SOH-CAH-TOA. And so I've got this angle. In reference to this angle, jump clear to the opposite side. So that's the opposite. And this is who you're sitting next to, or the adjacent. Again, that would have been the hypotenuse across from the right angle, but we weren't given that value. So we have opposite and adjacent or we have TOA. So we have tangent. So looking at our answer choices, if nothing else, we just got it narrowed down to a 50-50 answer. But let's go ahead and get the next step. Set up your relationship. The tangent of that 40-degree angle is the opposite over the adjacent. So you just set up a little equation. Then I want to solve it for x. If I want to solve this for x, don't I want to multiply both sides by 100 so that that will cancel? And so then my answer, I can see, is going to be 100 times the tangent of 40, which is going to be answer E, 100 times the tangent of 40. So you can see in this one, they just want the ratio expression of the answer, not the actual decimal answer. We'll get to those towards the end. Look at number 42. The figure below shows a support wire for a television transmission tower. It's fastened to the tower up here at a point that's 125 feet above the ground. There's an angle of elevation, this angle right here. And think about an elevator, it goes up. An angle of elevation kind of looks up. Which of the following expressions gives the length of the wire? So we want the question mark or the length of that wire. So let's write out SOH-CAH-TOA so we can decide if we have sine, cosine, or tangent. All right, based on this angle right here, you're looking at the opposite and you're looking at the hypotenuse. Those are the two values we're given this time. So it's going to be sine. I know automatically that my answer would have to be F or J. Let's write out the relationship. The sine of 65 degrees is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now, I want to solve that for x, but to do so, I can see that that x is in the denominator. So let's clear out the fraction first. So let's multiply both sides by x. If that's a divide by x, we'll just multiply by x, and then they cancel. So over here, I have x sine 65 is equal to 125. So then if I want to solve for x, I simply need to divide by the sine of 65, which means my answer is F. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Number 50. It says Jared is looking up at a hot air balloon. The balloon is currently at the maximum altitude during tour C. The angle of elevation, so this angle that's looking up, is 37 degrees. And they want to know the value of D, Jared to the basket. So we need to get another side, but if we look real carefully, it says the balloon is at the maximum height for tour C. If I come up here, maximum altitude or height for tour C is 1,000. So I know that side is 1,000. Now, we'll come over here and write out our relationship of SOH-CAH-TOA and think about which one we have. This is my angle. This is jumping clear to the other side, so that's the opposite. And this is my hypotenuse. So I've got the opposite over the hypotenuse, which is sine. So it can't be any of those. It's got to be F or H. Let's set up our relationship. The sine of 37 is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. We want to solve it for D, so we're going to first of all need to get that fraction gone. If that's a divide by D, we're going to multiply so that the multiply and the divide will cancel. That tells me I have D sine of 37 is equal to 1,000, and then I'll divide by the sine of 37, and I'll have that my answer this time is F, 1,000 over the sine of 37. Okay, now looking at this next one. Okay, it's still a word problem. They're still drawing the picture for us, but this time we're going to need to use our calculator to get the exact answer. It says a surveyor is standing on the ground that is level with the base of the tower. From a point on the ground where the surveyor is standing, this angle of elevation, elevator going up to the top, is 40 degrees. The tower, or the distance, it says, the surveyor is to the tower is 200 feet. So what's the height of the tower? So this right here is what we want. Okay, in reference to this angle, think about what sides we've got. And let's come over here because we either have sine, we have cosine, or we have tangent. All right, with this angle, all the way over here is the opposite. Again, you're jumping to the opposite side of the street or the opposite side of the triangle. This right here is who I'm sitting next to. This is the adjacent. This would have been the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle, but again, I wasn't given that. That has no part in this problem. So I'm looking at tangent. So let's set up our relationship, and we'll say the tangent of 40 degrees is the opposite over the adjacent. Now I will go to my calculator to type this in. Make sure you are in degree mode. You want to make sure that you are in degree mode on your calculator. To solve this for x, I'm going to multiply by 200. Those cancel. Go to your calculator and say 200. Hit your tangent button, 40 degrees, and hit equals. When you do, it will come up 167.8. The closest answer is H. Okay, let's try this one. On number 38, it says that Jamal sees a tree on the shore directly across the lake. He turns 90 degrees and walks 100 meters, turns to face the tree, and sees that that's a 25-degree angle. The question says, which of the following is closest to the distance from Jamal's initial position to the tree? That's where he was first, so this is what we want. Right? If you'd like to, you could pause the video and try it for yourself and come back and check with me. So let's think about if we have SOH-CAH-TOA, sine, cosine, or tangent. In reference to this angle right here, you've got the opposite and you've got the adjacent. So we're talking about tangent. This would have been my hypotenuse across from the right angle, but again, it has no part in this problem. So I'll set it up and say the tangent of my angle, 25 degrees, is equal to the opposite, which is x, over the adjacent, which is 100. Then go to your calculator. We need to multiply both sides by 100. That divide and multiply. Cancel. So I have 100 times the tangent of 25 is what x equals. Go to your calculator. Make sure again you're in degree mode. All you have to do is go to your mode button up there at the top. And if you go down 2 or 3, it'll say radian degree, and you just make sure degree is highlighted. So I would say 100 times the tangent of 25, and my calculator tells me that's 46.6. So G is my answer. All right, these last two problems What the difference is that they're not drawing the picture for us. So now we have to draw our own picture. Notice that when I draw, or make sure that you know it's a triangle, a right triangle. So that can probably help us with our pictures. A vertical radio tower, so I'm just going to draw a radio tower that's standing up tall. From a point 200 feet along level ground from the base of the tower. So I've got a point that's 200 feet from the base of that tower. It tells me the angle of elevation to the top of the tower. Remember, it's got to be a right triangle. And this is my angle of elevation, which is 50 degrees. It's like an elevator. It's looking up. Which of the following is closest to the height of the tower? So this is what we want to know. Again, if you'd like to pause the video and try on your own from this point, try it and see. Okay, so we're going to have to decide if we want sine, cosine, or tangent. According to this spot where the angle is referred to, this is the opposite. You're jumping clear to the other side. This is the adjacent. It's who I'm sitting next to. So we're looking at tangent. So the tangent of 50 degrees is the opposite over the adjacent. To solve this, we want to multiply both sides by 200 so that that fraction cancels out. Then I'm just going to go to my calculator in degree mode, of course, and type it in. So 200, your tangent button, 50 degrees, and when you do, you get 238.3. So the closest answer is H. And it says in here, it doesn't say it's exact, it says following is closest to the height. So you know that they're rounding that. Okay, the last one, it's another one where you have to draw the picture. So if you'd like to and you want to try, pause the video and see how you do. This says the angle of elevation to the top of a tree. So I'm going to have a tree. So we'll draw us a tree here. An angle of elevation, that's an angle that's going up. Remember, all of our pictures are right angles, is 40 degrees. So the angle of elevation is 40 degrees, but it says to the top of a tree from a spot on level ground 50 feet from the base of the tree. So that's important for me to know that from the tree base to here, that angle of elevation was 50 feet. The question says, what's the height of the tree? So I want X, the height of the tree. Once again, we have the opposite and we have the adjacent. So that's going to be our TOA, opposite and adjacent. So you should have said the tangent of 40 degrees is the opposite over the adjacent. We want to clear out the fraction, so multiply both sides by 50. Go to your calculator and type it in, 50, your tangent button, 40 degrees. Again, making sure you're in degree mode, and when you do, you get 41.9, and it says just closest to, so the answer that is closest to 41.9 is, of course, 42. If you'd like more help and practice with ACT Math Prep, be sure to check out the other videos on my channel. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you found this video helpful, and please tell and share it with a friend. See you next time.